Okay, today's video, we're going to talk about form leads. Basically, the contact form that you have on your landing pages or your website, somebody fills it out. How the hell do you get somebody who fills it out to be able to get, to get in touch with them? You call them. They don't answer. You call them again, they don't answer. It's a big problem when you're running paid ads and you got to be able to get a certain amount of those leads to convert to pay for your ad spend, let alone other sources of traffic, which the same problem also occurs in what we're going to talk about in this video today will increase the amount of money you're making per form capture that you're getting on your website or on your landing pages from being able to get 100% or roughly thereof of the people who fill out that contact form to actually get and be in touch with you versus filling out that form and you can't get a hold of them for whatever reason, or you also potentially get a hold of them but it's multiple days later, they've already talked to 3-4 people, they've gotten their mind already, some sweet slick talking salesman that they like and probably wanted to go with already, and you're 2 steps behind. So with that, you want to get first. And you want to get with them right away so that you'll be able to get a hold of them, but also through, and you need these key 5 tactics I'm going to give you so that you can actually get ahead of them, get ahead of the other guys that are trying to sell to them as well, because ultimately people contact more than one company most of the time. Unless some of you guys, this is not the problem, but even if they fill out your form to get a hold of them later on, even though they have good intentions when they fill out the form most of the time, getting a hold of them is a process that you don't want to wing, and there is a process to actually getting 100% of those form leads to you're actually connecting with them. And it's a bigger problem in some spaces. If you're in home services, you may only get a hold of 15% of the people because they're contacting 3 or 4 people at once, and you're all fighting for the business. Professional services, not quite as bad, but still, why wouldn't you want 100% of the people who fill out the form talk to you so that you can double or more the amount of sales you're making from those same contact form fills and same amount of PPC, ad spend, or whatever that you're using to generate the traffic to your site to get those form fills. So with that said, form leads, to get them to respond, I have 5 ways to reach basically 100% response rate or contact rate with those form leads after people fill out your contact form on your site or your landing pages. And respectively with that, you'll be able to double your sales just through the by process of getting a higher contact rate with those form leads. Okay, with that said, we'll get into it. A big way people say PPC doesn't work is they just suck, basically, at the sales side of their business and what they're doing. This can break even the most profitable PPC campaigns that are going in your niche, and cut them off at the knees and just neuter them completely. You're not going to, in other words, you're not going to make them work. They're not going to be profitable after all your expenses, including the ad spend. So with that said, and as I mentioned on other videos, half of literally what you're going to make if you're generating leads to sell to people, whether you're selling products or services, if you're trying to generate a lead and do a 2-step sales process where there's a lead and then there's a sale, respectively with that, you got to be able to focus as much time. It's not nearly as hard as getting a PPC campaign to work, but you got to focus half of the value or half of the equation as to whether or not you're going to make money from PPC if you're generating leads is what happens after that person calls or fills out the form. I've got other videos that talk about phone calls and how to deal with that and get every drop of value of every phone call lead you got. This is about form leads specifically, and the biggest problem people have with it is they don't get a hold of the people that fill out the form, which people just chalk that up as, oh, there's nothing you can do. That's certainly not the case. There's plenty you can do to get 100% or roughly thereof of the people that respond. And without doing these things, you're losing half to 2/3 of your money. And so this can, respectively, you could blame everything why you say PPC doesn't work on this if you're not doing these things already. As far as now that I'm going to be able to educate you on these things, You can literally go from a 15% contact rate on your contact forms that you got. So somebody fills out a contact form. The average person's going to get 15% or so to respond and actually get on a sales in a sales conversation with that person. In some other industries like professional services, it might be 30–40%. But still, it's not usually over even 50%, which is crappy. You can get, if you are at 15% and are in an industry where 15% is usual, which a lot of the home services and stuff like that it is, like I said, you can go from like 15% to like 35% plus, because I've personally seen these strategies working that I'm giving to you when deployed. Obviously, with that, that's going to put you in a position to make a bunch more money and a bunch more profit because your expenses didn't go up. Of course, to do these things, your expenses will go up modestly, but respectively, it's all just pure profit. So with these 5 strategies, if you're at 15%, you can see a 35% or maybe even a little bit more amount of the people that contact you, you're actually talking to and have an actual chance selling to with these strategies deployed. Respectively, with that, part of the way that you're going to be able to increase your sales, so you're going to be able to, so respectively, I just want to throw a couple stats here out at you as well before we go into this. The average person, as per my research here, according to Forbes, the average person between all industries, 27% of the people who get a contact form actually get in contact with the person. So this is, if you've got this, I mean, no hard feelings as far as you're not doing anything else that's different than anybody else. This is how things go, and people are skittish. But once you know these things, now it does become your fault, because these are all things that anybody can easily do for basically no money. Part of the way that you're going to be able to increase your response rates and therefore your amount of sales you're getting, to where you're getting twice or more than twice the sales from the same exact form leads, is because you're going to be able to obviously talk to more people, which just by talking to more people out of the hole, you're giving yourself more chances. But the other thing is that people don't recognize as being first also increases your chances, because once they've spoken to one person, they're less likely to listen to the other person if the first person's pitch was good and they spent the energy to explain the whole situation. Each successive conversation that person has is going to be less enthusiastic. Okay, and really, I want to say more than half of people aren't even going to talk to more people unless they don't feel totally confident after the first or second person. Sometimes they have to talk to multiple people because they say they want to get 3 quotes no matter what. But if that person is not totally price focused, you're going to have a hard time selling to them if the person before you was really good. That's just how it is. So you'll be able to increase your sales volume from your same exact form leads that you get by speaking to more people, but also you're going to get more of that person's attention, and they're going to be more often willing to go with you because they got a good first impression from you, and then therefore if somebody else that would have actually had a good pitch, they're not going to give it as much weight later on as well. So respectively, these kind of also stats about how you can just by getting in front of the person quicker, by the way, other people will verify that you can get 2 to 3 times as many sales from the same contact form fills if you just have a way. Vendesta is one study that I picked up where I verified this from somebody else, just match with what we're seeing here on our side at our PPC firm with our clients that institute these strategies or a lot of these strategies. So, and they attribute it to the fact that more so that you're going to be the first person to contact them, and the first person that contacts them are basically, with that, according to their information, 35 to 50% of the sales go to the first person they actually speak to. So there's also that information to kind of digest. But respectively, yes, they're going to want to buy more. They're more likely to buy from the first person they speak to, and if your pitch is good, they're really more likely to buy from the first person they speak to. They're not, and of course, the longer you wait to get a hold of them, and which you haven't been in contact with them yet, the less likely you are going to get in contact with them, because that whole thing is going on, working against you as well. So you could go from a 27% response rate on your getting a hold of your form leads to close to 100% if you want to go through the actions, put this system into place for your business, and capitalize on what I've learned and test on our end with our clients. I'm giving to you on a golden platter here. So first of all, on our first 5 steps, which if you want to understand why you're going to get close to 100% where the average person gets only a 27% contact rate with the form lead, it's because nobody's doing this stuff. And it's actually kind of a little bit like borderline insane / creepy, but I just want to preface that all of this as well. Somebody who wants to buy from you isn't going to think you aggressively trying to get a hold of them is like wrong or creepy or whatever. The people that didn't, they only half cared to buy something from your space, they will, but you don't, they can just tell you to F off and you just stop contacting them. Pretty simple. So don't be afraid to do this stuff in order to make more money. It's not dirty. And the people where you actually put more thought into actually trying to help that person, i.e., you're selling to them, you're helping them get a problem solved, they will appreciate the hustle. I've heard this many, many times in our own business, even in our own agency. People buy from us because they appreciate the hustle and the intuitiveness and the thoroughness of the information we explain, like when somebody comes to us and breaking down what their problems are. But the how in which you follow up, people appreciate that. The ones that are actually also serious about buying, so that you're taking the weight off of them, like, oh, I got to contact them. No, they're going to contact you and make sure, and not to be pushy, but to make sure that you don't forget to do what you were going to do. Or if you ask for something, get back to them right away, whatever. But anyway, with all that said, the first thing is you use an auto callback tool. There's callback tools, and there's a few of these. Essentially, call page, ringostat, callingly, these tools, you install it on your website, and what happens is when somebody fills out a contact form, right away your salesperson or your sales department will get a call, and it'll be a robot that says, right when you pick up the phone, instead of hearing the person talking, it'll say, Joe Smith from XYZ Corp had just filled out the contact form on the landing page, or whatever landing page. Would you like to give John Smith a call? If so, press 1. And so obviously if they're busy, you don't have to do anything. You can just ignore it, like if they're on another sales call. But if they aren't on another sales call, these people are on commission, of course they're going to want to talk to that lead when they have the highest chance of talking to them. So they press 1, it automatically calls them, and so basically a minute after they fill out that darn contact form, they're getting a call from the salesperson, which it's not creepy or it's not annoying. They're going to be impressed by the fact that you're trying to help them right away. And obviously some people fill out the form because they weren't ready to talk right then. But with that said, most of the people can tell you for a fact that they are going to talk to the person right away. And he who talks to them first, like I said, sells the most. Also, he or she who's calling quicker will get a hold of more people, because the longer you wait from the time the form fill is filled in to contact them, the less your chance you're ever going to get a hold of them. In fact, if you wait longer than 15 minutes to get a hold of them, your percentage rate in which you will ever talk to them drops like below 40% already. So just by getting in the first 15 minutes that form lead responded to, you'll go from, basically 40 to 90% with that one thing alone. And so which is why these softwares out there exist, which almost nobody uses, I don't know why. Call page, ringostat, callingly, that you can do this and enforce a policy through software that makes sure that you're not relying on your salesperson to just call back. You're basically saying, if the robot calls in, you have to answer it. You're going to answer every form lead now from now on within that 15-minute window, which guarantees that you're basically ahead of everybody else in terms of contacting them, assuming that they filled out, let's say they filled out 3 contact forms within 15 minutes, because that's usually what they do. Oh, I need a new roof. I'll fill out this one contact form. Okay, I'm going to this site, I'm filling out this contact form. And basically before they even get to the second one, they got a call. And so you're ahead of everybody else, because they generally, contact the other people, like I said, filling out forms about at the same time. You're ahead of everybody else. And you've made sure that that's going to happen just through the software and how that can enforce policies for you to make sure you're calling within 15 minutes each time in and itself. And so there's different ones that work for different platforms. WordPress, you can do things like that for Shopify. It doesn't matter. You can find a solution out there. It will work for anybody, and they're very inexpensive, and they're easy solutions to install. You're talking about 15 minutes of work a lot of times to get that on your website. There's no reason not to use this. It's very, very simple to use. So with that said, you get that sucker on there, you're going to have a huge jump in the amount of profit you're going to make per contact form on your site already. That's the biggest one I can list on the list, really. Number 2, if a person don't reply from calling them, right away within the first minute after they fill out the form, basically there, text them after basically 5 minutes. So with this, you don't have to text them immediately, but wait 5 minutes and text them a personalized message. Or through software, which I'm going to talk about next, you can actually text them what looks like a personalized message to get a response out of them at a high rate. What we've found that works is to do, hey, I thought you wanted a chat on the text, which looks like a personalized chat. Obviously, everybody gets spam text messages nowadays still. And when you read a text message, your brain's trained to say, is this spam or is this not spam? And if it's spam or a commercial message, you delete it right away. Of course, it's better than nothing to text that person who filled out your contact form if you couldn't get a hold of them right away and just say, hey, this is Joe from XYZ Corp. I am here and ready to answer your questions. I am a product expert and I can help you, navigate your situation that you're in. That's okay, but it's even better, another hack, another level of hacking, if you say, hey, I thought you wanted a chat, because when they see that text, they're right away going to pick up their phone. They're going, what? And then they're going to call it back right away. So it's a little bit skeezy if you want to look at it that way. You could go just the general lukewarm approach, which is saying, hi, I'm Joe from XYZ Corp. And say it like I'm saying here. I'm a product specialist that deals with, boat repair. I can help you navigate your situation anytime you're ready. Just give me a call or whatever. That way, don't frame it as you're looking to buy anything. I'm trying to help you fix your problem and give you free advice, so that they call asking about a question, maybe that's not even related to buying. You get that conversation going, and then you're going to get the sale because you've built the rapport with the person already. That should always be the general approach. But with that, though, you can automate this process. Again, you can tell your salespeople to text the person right away if they don't answer the phone when you call them back right away through that, system I gave you on number 1 to use. So with your CRM system, if your form lead goes into your CRM, like Salesforce or whatever, you can actually you can get it, first of all, a program called Simple Texting, and you could use this on its own anyway. Your salesperson could get Simple Texting. Simple Texting is a program to mass text, or it could do like one-on-one sales text conversations. So potentially your salesperson, if the person doesn't pick up the phone right away when you call them back, you could, through Simple Texting, text them like what I'm telling you, and it keeps a log of every single text. So on a computer, you can actually, without having to use a stupid cell phone, actually have a conversation, and it saves every conversation that you're having through text in that program. But to take it a step further, when the form lead goes into the CRM, you can have Simple Texting through Simple Texting's API, import the phone number from the form lead that you got, which is now in the CRM, to Simple Texting, and have a system set up already. So as soon as Simple Texting gets a phone number, it will automatically send out a text with a pre-written message, so that as soon as the form lead comes in every single time without action, physical action or physical, you need to actually take steps to do it, it'll send out a text to that form lead after so many, and you can do it at any time interval that you want. I would recommend about 5 minutes, because after 5 minutes you text something, hey, I thought you wanted to chat. They're not going to know that a program sent it, which makes it more likely they're going to respond. As soon as they know it's a computer, they're like, oh, that's spam, I'm not responding to it. Because if it was too quick, it looks like a computer. So, and with that, you don't have to rely on your salespeople to actually do it. Because you know how it is, you tell your salespeople to do something and slowly they'll forget over time. You have to keep checking. Why not just force this in and make sure that, of course, when somebody texts back on simple texting, you'll hear like a ping, or through that program you can set that up so that your salespeople can just be sitting there. And of course, as soon as somebody texts back from your auto text that goes out to every single person, they'll right away be able to continue the engagement through the chat or through the texting until they moved it to the phone. But that's another thing that you can do that'll increase the amount of people that you're going to get in contact with your contact form, because through email, most people are just going to email the person. Email, they're getting 50 emails a day. Half the stuff they're trying to say, what is real emails in here? Because 95% of it's spam, 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 and they can easily overlook your email through all that spam. Plus, it goes into the potentially sometimes it can get into the spam folder or whatever. So, but texting, they always see the text, at least for now, still. So that's why that works really well. You can still email them, but the text gets a higher reply rate because not everybody's doing this stuff. It's about how can I do what my competitors aren't doing so I can get a higher return than our competitors are. And so this is stuff that's going to take you to, you're going to have the best follow-up strategy in your space by far. Therefore, you're going to get more out of your form leads than anybody, which means you can spend more to get a lead than anybody else. Therefore, you can get most of the leads from Google search or whatever. This is how you win at PPC or just any other advertising that you may be doing or whatever. But that's the second thing. Third thing, if they still don't reply, email them a personalized message. So everybody already is doing email, but going back to what I said before, don't just look like the average Joe Schmo salesperson. Actually email them and say, hey, thank you for contacting me. What the average person would do would say, thank you for contacting us. Whenever you're ready to have a conversation, you can give us a call, whatever. No, you want to seem like it's just a friend talking to a friend. Hey, Mike. Hey, I noticed that, and this is the lukewarm version, I noticed that you filled out a contact form on our site. I'm the product specialist that just deals with different boat repairs at our repair shop. If you'd like to talk about the problem you're having with your boat, just give me a call. I can discuss any problem you're having at any time. Just give me a call. Here's my cell phone number to make it look personalized. You get the highest reply than, a higher reply out of that than something that looks too cut and dry. There's a big difference there in terms of how many people will respond to that. But if you want to go to the next level, like I said, you can email them and say, hey, I thought you wanted to have a chat. Why? And you could, through that, and you do that on the subject line. Because when they're scrolling down their emails, that's going to stand out as a personalized message. Because they're saying, as they're scrolling down their email list, spam, 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 spam. And then it's easy to overlook something that looks like it came from a company. But if it says, I thought you wanted to chat, it's going to catch their eye. They're going to open it at a higher rate. From there, hey, I thought you wanted to chat. You open it up. You could say the rest of what I told you to say as usual. Hey, Mark, I am the blah, 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 blah. Just as I said, I'm the, repair specialist at our boat repair company. I can talk about your boat repair, any situation you're having with your boat, any questions you're having about your boat, just give me a call. Here's my cell phone number, a lot of whole thing. But you'll get a higher amount of people to see your email, which is a big, big thing now. A lot of people don't realize this, which is why the response rates are so low. Part of it, a good chunk of it, because you go to email them and they're not even seeing your damn email. So that's the third thing. Fourth, if they still don't reply, add them to Facebook and reach out to them on Messenger. So a lot of people still, don't realize still, you can type in someone's cell phone number on Facebook search and usually find their profile from that, because they have to use their cell phone number to sign up for Facebook. And then you can add them. If that doesn't work, you could search for them obviously by name and then add them. And then right away go to Messenger and try to message them. Of course, you may not be able to do that necessarily right away. There's some, the privacy may be set up to where you can't message them right away, but respectively, the idea is to message them right away. And it's just another way to get a hold of them, going back to what I just said about email, people don't see your email most of the time anymore because it's buried in a pile of junk. But they do, a lot of people do, but they don't pay much attention to email as per each individual email. They pay attention to every Facebook message they got. Like everyone, just like they're doing with text. And if they don't, pay attention to text, maybe they pay attention to Facebook Messenger. Maybe they don't pay attention to Facebook Messenger, but they pay attention to their texts. Because different people have different communication preferences. So what you're doing here is just covering all your bases for all the different personality types, essentially. Different profiles of people that use different communication methods more than others. And which is why you have a form on your site in the first place. Some people like to communicate through text. Some people like to call. So you offer both. In this case, you reach out in both ways so that the person who prefers one over the other, you still get that person. With that said, number 5, if you still don't get a reply, follow up daily on each of the above, or weekly, and depending on your niche. So when I say that, if you're talking about something where the sales cycle is going to be less than 30 days, meaning the time in which somebody goes from the starting of the sales process where they're saying, I'm going to buy something soon, to the time they actually usually buy it on average. If that window of time is less than 30 days, I recommend doing 1 through, or basically, you can do 2 through 4 daily texting, through Facebook message, through email daily until you get a hold of them. Why? Because the average person, and this is a study done by If by Phones to back up my data here, the average person doesn't reply to when somebody fills out the contact form, and if you're just using email to get back to them, they don't reply to your messages to that form lead until you've already emailed them 4 to 7 times, assuming you go like clear to the end, like you never give up. And by the way, with sales, you're supposed to never give up on a lead technically. You've messaged them until they say, no, I'm not interested, or stop contacting me. So you get a form lead, you email it for 50 times, because you'll never know on that 49th time, they may just reply. If you have time, of course, to do that, your salespeople are not doing anything, that's what I do. I always tell our salespeople to do the same thing. Until they say stop contacting me or they're not interested, you follow up for years, because people's situations change. And if nothing else, maybe when they need to buy next time, you'll get them that time or whatever. But in general, most people will only, stupidly only contact the person once. Oh, they didn't reply, I give up, which is like just completely throwing your money away. With few people, some people are okay, they'll email like 7 times. The real money is in emailing, the same every day for the next 30 days, so that you have the maximum chance that they'll reply to one of your emails. Given some people will certainly reply on the 15th email, given the average is already the 4th to the 7th email. So if you're stopping on the 3rd, just by going to 7, you're going to get a ton more to reply. And if you go ahead and email every day for the next month, and there's systems that you can certainly do this very, very easily, where you can just auto-reply. One such system would be QuickMail, where you can set things up, set up a cadence where the same message gets emailed out once a day for a month to that lead, and you don't have to manage it at all. And then basically, hopefully one of those days they reply saying, okay, yes, I'm ready to get on a call now. Maybe because there's all kinds of shit that happens in everyday life. People have You know, somebody's sick in the hospital. They fill out the form and then they couldn't reply for 3 weeks. It didn't mean they didn't want it. It's they got distracted. Or they had to talk to their wife or their husband, and that took 2 weeks to really have that conversation to fully settle the rest of, you know, they were going to buy, and they're like, wait, I better talk to my husband first. And then he was busy, didn't get a chance to talk to him for a while. You know, for all those reasons, emailing them once a day for a month, literally speaking, is okay. And again, the following up, they're going, if they really were serious about buying, they're going to appreciate the hustle. Don't think they're going to be weirded out by that, because they can easily say, stop contacting me, and as long as you stop, no big deal. I mean, ultimately, they contacted you, so for you to follow up 30 times to get every last chance of getting a hold of that lead as you can, it's on them to say no, not you. And your job is to actually follow up until they respond, because again, if you wait for them to contact you, you're like actually making them work, versus if you contact them until they reply, you're actually helping them. If you look at it from that, and if you look at it from that way, it makes sense, and this is the reality of the situation. It's the only way to look at it. So anyway, with that said, and if you're in a space where a sale occurs, typically you're like in a business-to-business space where you're selling, like, I don't know, billboards, you know, billboard rental. People make a decision over like an average of 2 or 3 months or something like that. Then I wouldn't do every day. I would do once a week, but I would do it for the next 6 months until that person is ready to talk to you. Or could be 12 months, something like that. So you're reaching out effectively 30 times, but it's just spaced out over a year instead of a month or whatever, if you get my point. Or 50 times over the course of a year, since there's 50 weeks in a year. But you get my point. So that's the other thing to add. You add all these things together, if you don't talk to that person, it's wild. Because one of these things is going to get their attention one way or another. And most of it can be automated. Like I said, I gave you all the softwares to automate all this stuff. There's no reason why you can't just take the lead, use through software, set up a system that you're following up with them in all these different ways and every day and until they reply, for your salespeople to get 3 times as many sales conversations essentially. Because again, 1/3 of the people is what you average get to talk to, whereas I'm giving you a way to get a hold of basically everybody. So you're getting literally 3 times the amount of cracks at the form leads than you had before going through these methods here. And so you can decide which ones, of course, you want to take out and modify this, and I don't want to do what Corey said here or whatever. But I gave you the advice of what works to get you to close to 100%. You can get close to 100%, maybe 1 or 2, maybe you go that direction, but I thought I'd tell you all the ways that you can do this for your own, so you can create your own plan, so to say, and that's why I did it. So with all that said, I'll wrap it up with that. I have a ton of other videos on this channel. If you like to learn how to make money with PPC, you should consider subscribing to this channel, because this is what this channel is full of. If you could give this specific video a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it, so other people can find this information as well on YouTube. It would really help us. With that said as well, we also have a blog that I've written personally at guaranteedppc.com/blog with step-by-step instructions on how I build PPC campaigns for our clients here to guarantee their results at Guaranteed PPC Management Firm. If you'd like to see information along those lines, maybe you can go there and find some use in that information as well. If you have any questions about anything I said, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel within a couple days. And that said, hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you on my next one, where I have another great PPC strategy in another couple days' time. See you there.